Hi everyone, in Algebra 2B, today we're going to be going over your questions on lesson 111A, starting on number 3. So it says a two-digit counting number has a value that equals 4 times the sum of the digits. If the units digit is 1 greater than the tens digit, what is the number? Okay, so we have a two-digit counting number. The value of it equals 4 times the sum of the digits. So that means 10t plus u is going to be equal to 4 times the sum of the digits, so 4 times t plus u. And then it says the units digit is 1 greater than the tens digit, so units is tens digit plus 1. Now the 10t plus u is from the lesson that we learned this in lesson 107, so make sure that you looked at your notes for that. So 10t plus u equals 4t plus 4u. I'm going to bring the u over to the left, bring the t over to the right. So I have 6u, or 6t equals 3u. I know that u is equal to t plus 1, so that'd be 6t equals 3 times t plus 1, distribute. So 3t equals 3t plus 3. Subtract the 3t. So I get 3t is equal to 3. So that means my t is going to be equal to 1. Now, if t is equal to 1, then my u is going to be equal to 2. And it says, what is the number? Well, the number would be 12. Now moving on to number 4. So it says find 3 consecutive integers such that the product of the first and the third is 35 greater than the product of the second and the fifth. So consecutive integers are going to use the variables n plus 1, and then n plus 2. It says the product of the first and the third, so that would be n times n plus 2, is 35 greater than product of the second and 5. So it would be 5 times the second, and it will be 35 greater than that. So now I'm going to multiply this through, so I get n squared plus 2n equals 5n plus 5 plus 35. If I bring this all over to the left-hand side, I'm going to get n squared minus 3n minus 40 equals 0. Now, two numbers that multiply to give me negative 40 but add up to give me negative 3, that would actually be n minus 8 and then n plus 5. So my result is going to either be n is equal to 8 or n is equal to negative 5. So consecutive integers would be 8, 9, and 10, or negative 5, negative 4, and negative 3. Now moving on to number 5. It says the number of students vary directly as the number of teachers and the number of administrators squared. So we have students that are varying directly. So that means I have S1 to S2. And it's varying directly as the number of teachers and as the number of administrators squared. So T1 and administrator 1 squared over T2 over administrator 2 squared. That's the equation that we get. It says 1,000 students were present when there were 5 teachers and 2 administrators. So 1,000 students my T1 is going to be equal to 5 and then 2 squared, because administrators is squared. How many students were there when there were 8 teachers and 1 administrator? It does say to solve 2 ways, you don't need to. And that will give me 5 times 4, x equals 8 times 1,000. And it's all going to be divisible by 20. So we're going to do 8 times 1,000 divided by 20, and that gives me 400. So that's 400 students. Now moving on, we're looking at number 11. So for number 11, we actually have an equation that we're going to use. This is from lesson 108, so you should look back to your notes for it. So that's going to be f cubed minus s cubed equals f minus s times f squared plus fs plus s squared. So I'm going to start by taking the cubed root of each of these terms. So the cubed root and the cubed root, and really all you're doing is that's just going to divide each of those exponents by 3. So that would be x for the first one. This is going to be my f. 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2, so this is going to be my second term. So now you're going to input that into this part of the equation. So that would be x minus m squared y squared times x squared plus x times m squared y squared plus m squared y squared squared. There wasn't enough room. So now I have x minus m squared y squared, because that's not going to change, so this first doesn't change. When I square x, I get x squared. When I multiply these together, I'm just going to get m squared, x squared, just mx y squared. And then when I square the m squared y squared, I would have m to the 4th, y to the 4th, and that is it. So take the cubed root, and then all you have to do is input that into the equation. Just input it into that part of the equation, and that's all you have to do. So for this one, it's the same exact equation. So I'm just going to start by taking the cubed root of both. So the cubed root of this, cubed root of this. Now the cubed root of 8 is going to be 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1. This will be your f. Then your s, the cubed root of 27 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So when I input this into the equation, it's going to be 2x squared y minus 3m p to the 4th times 2x squared y squared plus 2x squared y times 3mp4 plus 3mp4 squared. Now the left parenthesis is going to stay exactly the same at 2x squared y minus 3mp4. I'm going to square this term, which would be 4x to the 4th y squared. Multiply these together, which would be 6mp4 x squared y. Square this, should be 9 m squared p to the 8th. And this would be your answer. So I realize your answer does get a lot longer than it was before, but that's how you factor. Now looking at number 13. So for number 13, I'm going to set n equal to this number. And the 1/3 repeats. Now because there's 2 repeating decimals, I'm going to multiply this by 100, which moves the decimal over 2 spaces. So that would be 121.31313 and repeat. I'm subtracting that from the other number, the 1/3 and the repeating cancel. So I get 99n, and then I'm gonna get 121.3 minus 1.2 gives me 120.1. Then you're gonna divide both sides by 99. But don't forget to move the decimal point over 1 space, which would be 1,201 over 990. That's number 13. And then we're going to do number 14. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put all of our x's in parentheses before we complete the square. I have to factor out the minus sign. And then I'm going to complete the square. So half of +4 is going to be +2. When I square that, it's going to be +4, but don't forget this is actually a -4 because of the factored out minus sign. So I'm actually going to do the opposite of -4, which is to add 4. This tells me that the parabola is going to be a sad face. The x plus 2 equal to 0 tells me that the axis of symmetry would be at -2. And the +3 is going to be your vertex. So at -2 is when I'm going to put my dotted line. And then I'm going to go up 3. That's my vertex. Now, if I'm going to go over 1, if I square 1, it's 1. So I'm going to go down 1. You'll do that in either direction. Then I want to go over 2, and then if I square 2, it's 4. So you go down 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're just going to connect the dots. And that would be your parabola. Now lastly, we're going to look at this problem here. We see the inequality has a slash through it, so I'm going to flip it and put an equal sign under it. Then I'm going to add 3 to the other side. So I get negative absolute value of x is greater than or equal to -4. But then I have to divide by -1, which is going to flip my inequality. So the absolute value of x is going to be less than or equal to 4. Now remember, there's going to be 2 endpoints on this whenever we have the absolute value. You're going to have +4 and -4. So this is -4. Reals is just going to be an arrow. We are going to fill in our dots on 4 and -4. And when it says less than, you're actually going to connect these 2 dots. So this should be your number line. Would be the endpoints at 4, -4, and then a solid line between those 2 points. Less than means you connect them, greater than would be the outside. And that should conclude your questions from lesson 111A. I hope you guys all have a great day. Bye.